Let me get right to the issue. Should fat people, I mean, extremely fat or obese, I don't want to say morbidly obese, but should extremely gargantuan people, dare I say pork nose, should the tender-bellied be forced, or should they be provided a free seat or forced to pay for extra seats? And my opinion is absolutely, yes, they should be forced to pay for more seats. And I know this sounds horrible. I know this sounds like, oh my God, you can't say this. First, let me get through a couple of provisos and then we'll get to the bottom of this. Number one, I do not believe that discrimination is fair or right or proper in any part of our civilization. You got that? Okay. But let me give you an example. Let's assume I am 8 feet tall. 8. And I'm maybe one of the only people in the world who's 8 feet tall, but it doesn't really matter. And I walk into a plane and say, hey, excuse me. Yeah, Southwest or JetBlue. Yeah, listen, first of all, I can't get in this plane because I can't bend over that far because I'm 8 feet tall. So I need you to clear out everybody so I can be brought straight back on a gurney. And I want you to turn the gurney sideways so that I can take up half of, the back row. And you got to take some seats out to allow my gurney because even if I were to lie flat out, I am larger. So you got to take out some seats. And if people have to get to the John to go over me, well, so be it. Because I'm 8 feet tall, and whether you call it a handicap or not, I should not have to pay because I'm 8 feet tall. Now, you would say to yourself, that is the most ridiculous thing in the world. What are you talking about? No, excuse me, you don't understand. I'm 8 feet tall. I don't give a damn how tall you are. You can't, that's nuts. That's crazy. You're not going to, no. Right? And you'd be right. No, dislike for me, no harm for me. You're not trying to be mean. You're just saying, no, absolutely not. Okay. So we recognize the fact that just because you have a condition that maybe you didn't ask for, maybe it might even be rare, doesn't matter. You do not necessarily enjoy the right to have accommodations made for you just because you have a particular malady or situation or condition or girth or... Now, next, the people who are on the plane, who for whatever reason are not obese, and for whatever reason fit into the seat that most people fit in. And by the way, these seats are getting tighter, some would argue. And I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we've had somebody next to us who just, you almost, and I'm sorry to say this, please, but sometimes they're adipose, their fat kind of like pours over. I mean, pours over. I've seen this happen. You don't want to say anything. They have to use double, seatbelt extenders. And this is not fat shaming. I'm telling you the truth. It must be terrible to be like that. But the third point is that no matter what anybody says, people look at that as a different form of malady, dare I say, as a different form of condition. They look at it differently. And they look at it as though you did that and you do that. Because most people will say, there's no reason why you have to be like that. It's not like you're being flown in some emergency situation, a gunshot wound. I understand that. But you have elected by virtue of whatever, perhaps maybe there's even a hormonal condition or some type of pituitary or thyroid imbalance or whatever it is. But most people say bullshit. This is slovenly. This is ridiculous. And frankly, I don't care one way or the other what you want to do with your life, but there is no way that you're going to take away a seat from me and pay for 2 because of your weight. Now, I'm not suggesting this is the way to be. Now, what I suggest is we do the following. When you're a kid and you go on a ride, you have that little sign that says, if you're not this tall, you can't go on the ride. Or there's that particular that carrier, that container facsimile, if your overhead cannot fit in this, this area, you have to check your bag. They should have a silhouette. I swear to God, a silhouette on the side of the, maybe not in public, but a silhouette. And if you cannot fit in this silhouette, you got to buy an extra ticket. I also believe that there should be, for the rare case of the extreme, not every flight would accommodate this, but they have to have benches in the back, not seats, but benches to accommodate you and your particular girth, you and your particular circumference, and you and other people, perhaps in your size category, can sit next to each other on a bench with cushions and trying to make you as comfortable as possible, with seat belts and the extenders, but not in a seat that you're not going to fit in. You sit in the back on a bench. And that may, based upon, you could say, that's a surcharge. If I have to pay extra money for extra luggage, why shouldn't you pay extra money for another 100 pounds you're bringing on? Think about this. If I have to pay, have you ever had you take your suitcase and they weigh it and they go, I'm sorry, you got to pay X amount. Okay. And you're thinking, and I see people throw things out and leave it just to save a few bucks on this. Well, if your suitcase can be subjected to such rigors, why shouldn't a person? And this idea, there was a recent story. This woman said, I had to walk and they didn't even help me. And I needed oxygen. Now, listen, again, I am sorry for that. But this attitude, you see, there are things in life, and people will not want to tell you this. They won't admit to it. When you see somebody passed out on the street, some drunk, some bum, some vagrant, homeless, what is it called? Not homeless. There's another variation. Unhoused. Oh, I love that one. Unhoused. You look at me and say, this guy is a bum. He's soiled himself. No, I'm sorry. No. And you say, ideally, theoretically, you say, I know it may not be his fault, but no. I'm sorry to say this, but in some cases, the extremely obese, the ones who, and it's not because of some kind of a medical condition, it's because of whatever it is, people do not feel sorry for them. And what I'm saying is nothing to do with whether I feel sorry for them. I'm talking about the practical applications of airline travel and whether they should pay a surcharge, or whether I should be forced to give up my seat. This person should pay too. It's that simple. There are people who would travel. Who was it? Paul McCartney used to travel with whatever his base, or people would. I knew a guy one time who used to buy 2 tickets so nobody would sit next to him. He did it. He bought 2 tickets so nobody was sitting next to him. I swear to God. And people would come by and they say, "Is that seat taken?" Yes. Well, who's in it? It's mine. And he had to explain this to folks. Now, look, I think we're all God's children, and we have to show a degree of compassion and concern for others. And there are situations that are tough, but society should not necessarily have to adjust. Let me give you an example. One more. Last one. Let's say you or your child suffer from a neurological condition a la Tourette's, where you scream randomly, and there's a movie theater or a Broadway theater or a golf tournament. You know, they always quiet par 5, Tiger, Masters, and all of a sudden, now, should they make accommodations for you? No. Should they say, I'm sorry, we feel our heart breaks for you, but you're not going to bring you or your child in, who is going to scream and ruin other people's, irrespective. If I had some degree where some type of a condition where I had some horrible rancid flatus that I'm constantly expelling wherever I'm going, you mean to tell me society has to tolerate that because I can't handle it? Are you kidding me? Let me get a better one. There we go. That's it. Are you kidding? No. So, my friends, common sense is it. We are all God's children. We must show pity and empathy towards people, but they also must realize and recognize the fact that we do not necessarily have to accommodate everything that nature provides as tragic or unfortunate. I'm sorry to say that. I know that's very we're not talking about destroying, Jerry's kids. And I understand the notion of handicapped bathrooms and handicapped accommodations. And yes. This is a different story. This is a different story. We have dress codes. We have age code. There used to be a rule where you have to have a jacket to get into a restaurant. And I don't know why one person with a sense of entitlement that, excuse me, I'm obese. I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm not. And this particular situation may, in fact, preclude conventional flight accommodations. Like I said, if you're 8 feet tall, you may not be able to fly on a plane because you're 8 feet tall. Nothing personal. You're 8 feet tall. That's simple. What do you think? My friend, put your thoughts and comments down in the section that follows. Please subscribe to the channel. And remember, as we always say, please, I beg, beseech, implore, and import you to comment as you see fit.